That is this. Sāṅkhya-yoga and philosophy and yoga practice all go to hell. You become a dog. That is wanted. So unless you practice, if that is the point, that one has to remember Narayana at the time of death, then why not directly practice? Huh? This is practice. The deity is there. The form of Narayana, Krishna is there. If you always be engaged in Lord Krishna's service, huh, you have got the impression of Krishna always within your heart, and if you continue it, somewhere or other, then your life is successful. Otherwise, big talks, nose pressing and keeping the head down, and you can do that, waste your time in that way. But whether it is guaranteed that at the time of your death you shall remember Krishna and Narayana. That is what ante nārāyaṇa-smṛtiḥ, the Sukadeva Goswami says, the authority says. So this Bengali proverb, bhajan karo, sadhan karo, murte janna. You are very good transcendentalists, you are practicing so many nice things, that's all right. But do you know how to die? That is the point. If you die with God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, then your life is successful. So Nārāyaṇa is the transcendental personality of Godhead beyond the material creation. Nārāyaṇa is not a person. The Mayavadi says Nārāyaṇa is also a person like us. So I can remember anyone. I can remember my wife, I can remember my husband or my child. Still I am going to the same goal. No, sir. That is not possible. Therefore it is particularly said, ante nārāyaṇa-smṛtiḥ, not your other friend or other demigod or other. No, nārāyaṇa-smṛtiḥ. So everything that is created, sustained, and at the end annihilated is within the compass of Mahat-tattva and material things. Anything. That in another place it is said, the dharma-sāṅkhya-yogābhyāṁ puṁsām viṣakṣena kathāsuja nutpādayadrati jadi samayavai kevalam. That is also referred here, that etāvān sāṅkhya-yogābhyāṁ. Big sannyasis, they are discussing sāṅkhya-yoga, metaphysics, or analyzing what is spirit, what is matter, neti, not this. This is called Sāṅkhya-yoga. And Sāṅkhya-yoga, original Sāṅkhya-yoga means Bhakti-yoga. Because the Sāṅkhya-yoga system, philosophy, was spoken by Kapil Dev, the son of Devahuti. That is purely Bhakti-yoga. Later on, one atheist, he also assumed the name of Kapila and discussed Sāṅkhya-yoga, that is materialistic analysis. The Sāṅkhya-yoga system of philosophy is very much like in Europe, in Western countries, because it is a system of metaphysics analyzing the whole cosmic manifestation. There are 24 tattvas, just like these 5 tattvas, elements, material, earth, water, air, fire, ether, then 10 senses, 5 senses for acquiring knowledge and 5 senses for enjoying. And the 5, 10 and 5 elements, 15, then 5 principles of enjoyment. They are called talk, touching, smelling, like that. Anyway, there are 24 elements, and mind, intelligence, ego, and the principal soul. In this way, there are 24 elements. The Sāṅkhya yogis, they very analyze this, study. They are of the opinion that besides these 24 elements, there is nothing more. No, there is. The 24 elements, one who is combining and annihilating, that is the Supreme Lord, Pradhan, Vishnu. So, Sāṅkhya yoga, either you take this Kapil Dev's philosophical principle, that Kapil, that's all right. But after analyzing, if you do not find out Nārāyaṇa, the creator of this material atmosphere, material element, then it is useless laboring so much hard for analyzing. Just like the chemist or physicist, they are also analyzing the material elements within the laboratory. But that does not mean they are going to be liberated at the end of life. No. If you want to be liberated, because after all, you are spirit soul, you are entangled with these 24 elements. Your real business is how to get out of it. That is wanted. Suppose if you are a diseased fellow, or you analyze the disease, just like in the what is called pathology. This is called pathology. The doctor examines your blood and he finds out this is infection, that is infection, this is this. That's all right. But simply by understanding the blood analysis, pathology, does not mean it is cure. The cure is different. Similarly, these Sāṅkhya-yogi philosophers, they may analyze very critically. Even they can count the atoms which is composing this whole material atmosphere. But that does not mean you have understood the original force which has created all these things. That is discussed here. Etāvān sāṅkhya-yogābhyāṁ. So you become a very big scientist, very big physicist, chemist, that is all right. But you must know how to remember Nārāyaṇa at the time of your death. An interesting story has been described by our Satsuru Maharaj in the Back to Garden. The learned scholar and the boatman. The boatman in Bengal, there are many rivers, and the people generally transport by boat service. So, a learned scholar from Calcutta, say, was going home in the village on a boat, and he was very happy. So he was asking the boatman, "My dear boatman, do you know what are these stars, these astronomy, how they are working?" "No, sir, I do not." "Ah, your life is 25% lost. You do not know anything." Then after some time, you know the geology, how these earth, water, they are working. He said, "No, sir, I am poor man, what can I know?" "No, you are 50% of your life, you know." Then, all of a sudden, there was a cloud, black cloud on the sky, and there was storm. Then at that time, the boatman asked, said, "Do you know how to swim?" "No, I do not know." "Then 100% you are lost." "You are going to be drowned." He jumped and he drowned. So this is the, you are trying to understand the whole analytical study of the material world. That is very good. But if you do not know how to remember Nārāyaṇa at the time of death, then you are going to be cats and dogs. That's all. Because you are very fond of dog, especially in the Western countries. Every gentleman, every lady has a dog. So what do you think at the time of death? Dog. So that is nature's law. Janma-lābhaḥ smarana-bhāvam tajattanti kalivaram, you find in Bhagavad. At the time of death, the mental condition which have created, that will carry you to the next body. Therefore, don't create your mind doggish, make it Krishna conscious, and that is very nice. Then at the time of death, you remember Krishna, and you will transfer to the Krishna Loka. That is described. Etāvān sāṅkhya-yogābhyāṁ. Therefore, it is advised, whatever you may be, it doesn't matter. Practice Krishna consciousness. That will save you. Otherwise, janma-lābhaḥ puṁsām. Janma-lābhaḥ puṁsām ante. This janma-lābhaḥ Janma-lābhaḥ means getting a type of birth. So there are different types of birth. The so-called scientists, physicists, they do not know why there are so many varieties of life. Why not only human being? Why there is cat, there is dog, there is rat, there is fly, and there is serpent, there is tree, there is creeper, there is fish, there is so many. 8,400,000 species of life. So they are also taking their birth by father and mother. The insect or the cats and dogs or human being, the process of birth is the same. Father and mother. Anywhere you go. Therefore one Vaishnava poet has sung, janame janame sabe pita mata pāya, Krishna Guru nahi mile bhajoho hiya. Every birth, either you take birth as man or cat or dog or insect, there is father and mother. Father and mother you'll get in any type of birth, but not Guru and Krishna. Therefore, this birth is meant for achieving Guru and Krishna. Father and mother you'll get, anywhere. Even if you become a serpent, there is father and mother. And that is the way of birth. That was janma-lābhaḥ Shudra, even in human society. Every man is born a Shudra. Samskarat bhavidija. He requires a second birth by sanskar, reform. Just like we give second birth, initiation. The second birth, the father is the spiritual master and the mother is the Vedas. As the first birth is taken by the material father and mother, similarly second birth, dija, is possible by the spiritual master, the father, and Vedic knowledge, mother. This father and mother. So that is required. And that is possible in the human form of life. A cat is born by father and mother. And you are also born by father. But the cat is not, dog is not eligible to take the second father and mother. That is not possible. So if you do not take the privilege of accepting the second father and mother, then what is the difference between your birth and the dog's birth? That is stated. Janma-lābhaḥ puṁsām. You have got this human form of body, the best body. That is the instruction of all Vedic literature. Simply stressing. But what is this material civilization? Simply working like cats and dogs, the same eating, sleeping, sex, intercourse and defending. There are so many buildings in your city, Paris. Where is the culture to make the human life perfect? You have got very nice buildings, there is intelligence. So many nice buildings, people come to see the building. But that is not all. Simply, if you utilize your intelligence, certainly there is intelligence. But if you use your intelligence for these simply material activities, then you are not intelligent. You are a fool. That is described. Janma-lābhaḥ. You must make a cultural institution where people may take education how to remember Nārāyaṇa at the time of death. That is required. And that is useless. What is the value? You waste your so much time to construct a very nice house, but at the time of death you could not remember Nārāyaṇa. You remember your very nice friend, dog. Then what is the value? What is the value? They do not understand this. That there is life after death. Dehinasmin yatha dehi kaumara jauvanam jara tatha dehantara prapti. As you are changing your body from childhood to boyhood, it's very simple philosophy. The rascal will not understand. I am changing my body. You may say growth, but it is change. I had a childhood body, that body is different from this present body, it is changed. Therefore, I have already changed my body so many ways, so many times. And I change my body after this body is no more useful. That is going on. No more useful. That is example is given. I am putting on this sweater. But when it is torn, no more useful, I get it out. I get another new. Bāsamsi jinnāni jathāvyahāya, navāni ginnāti jathāpurāni. Everything is clearly said. This is dress only. This body is dress. Therefore we do not give on the bodily dress. We give stress on the soul. We do not make any distinction that is a Hindu dress, Muslim dress, Christian dress, black dress, white dress. No, we have nothing to do with this. we have to do with the soul within the dress. He is part and parcel of Krishna. He has forgotten Krishna. Therefore he is suffering. Therefore our movement is to revive his Krishna consciousness and go back to home, back to God. This is Krishna consciousness movement. Ante nārāyaṇa-smṛtiḥ. It is very important movement. Those who are very intelligent, they can take to it. Or you become intelligent and not intelligent, but you know, at least unless one is pious, he cannot take to this movement. But somehow or other, if you take this movement, then your this valuable life is successful. Janma-lābhaḥ, puṁsām. It is not cats and dogs life. It is human form. Utilize it properly. Properly means to become Krishna conscious. Not dog conscious, cat conscious, or this conscious. No, these will not help you. Krishna conscious. Then we'll be able to remember Krishna at the time of death, and your this valuable life is properly utilized. Janma-lābhaḥ puṁsām. You have got very nice, valuable body, but it will be properly utilized if you learn how to remember Nārāyaṇa at the time of death. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Again, I apologize for the rough start. I didn't know my computer would give me such problems when I needed it the most. So we had to start a little late. The lecture is fairly short. And this is the time, dear devotees, to unmute yourself and make any comments, takeaways, ask questions, and so we can have a discussion about the lecture today. Hare Krishna. Maybe we can start us off. Hare Krishna, please accept my
Prabhupada, please accept mine. Prabhupada. I don't have any particular comments or questions. Maybe you might have. I don't. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else that wants to ask a question or make a comment if they want to? Okay. I actually put down some notes, not as much as I normally do, because of course I was fighting with this computer at the time. So sometimes it took a while before things got pretty steady. So anyway, here's what I was able to note. Lord Nārāyaṇa is the transcendental personality of Godhead. My bodies say that Nārāyaṇa is like us, or Christians like us. Of course, they don't know what they're talking about. So Papa said, no. He also talked about big sannyasis discussing Sāṅkhya-yoga, but actually scientists do also. Analyzing, the sannyasi analyze what is spirit and what is matter, and of course, my body say neti, not this, not that. So Papa sometimes says, not this, not that, but what is it then? He also made a note that Sāṅkhya philosophy, real Sāṅkhya philosophy was spoken by Lord Kapila. Then he went into detail about the material world, the 24 elements, which he broke down. We know the 5 gross elements, subtle elements, working elements, and then that part of the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, ego, all of those comprise it. They are parts of the Shastra that actually breaks it down very nicely. But actually, the real business, the Prabhupada says, is how to get out of the material world. It's one thing to study all of these material things. Just like the example he gave that a doctor may analyze a disease, and that's called pathology. But it does not mean that the cure is the same thing as the analysis. No, the cure is different. So Sāṅkhya-yogis and physicists and chemists, they can study material nature, but they don't know how to remember Nārayaṇa at the time of death. Then he gave the example about a learned scholar from Calcutta who was going to visit family. He was riding in a boat, so the boatman was steering the boat, And the learned scholar started talking with him, asking him, do you know, in the different sciences? He brought up geology, and every one that he said, the boatman says, I don't know this. Then the learned scholar said, well, you lost a quarter of your life. Then they kept asking, it's funny, this is a very old story. When I was young, my mom told me the same story also. But here's the end. There was a cloud, then a storm followed, and this time the boatman asked the learned scholar, do you know how to swim? And the scholar says, no. Well, then the boatman said, then you've lost all your life because you won't be able to make it out of the water. So the whole point is, what's most important? What is most important is what actually saves us, not the things that we learn that are just part of dealing with the material energy. What saves us? So people have to remember the Lord at the time of death so that we will be saved, rather than learn or deal with all of these material things that does not give us a chance to leave the material world. So Srila Prabhupada said, whatever we do, we must practice Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we will die like cats and dogs. He made an analogy or a comparison. First birth is from father and mother. And then he stopped and explained to us, which was quite noteworthy. The Srila Prabhupada was saying, even if you're born a cat, you have a father and mother. If you're born a dog, you have a father and mother. So the animals, the birds and all that, the father and mother is there. First birth is like that, not just for humans only. But the second birth is from the spiritual master. The animals and the birds, and so they don't get second birth. The second birth is a spiritual birth. Whereas Srila Prabhupada explained that the spiritual master is the father, and the Shastra, or the Vedas, is the mother. If the human being does not take the second birth by initiation, what is the difference between his life and the dog's birth and death? Because he'll die just like the dogs and cats do, because there is no study. That's why Srila Prabhupada said there must be an institution where people are educated on how to remember Krishna at the time of death. We don't concern ourselves with the type of dress that we have on, the Hindu dress, Muslim dress, and American dress, and Indian dress. All of those are the external things. We concern ourselves with the soul. We don't have anything to do with the dress. The soul is actually part and parcel of Krishna. And people have forgotten Krishna, so they are suffering. So this Krishna consciousness movement is to revive people's Krishna consciousness so they can go back home, back to Godhead. So then he said, this is a very important movement. Those who are intelligent, they can take to it, or if you become intelligent, still, one aspires, they can take to this movement. But somehow or other, if you take to this movement, then your life will be valuable. Your life, it will be successful. So remembering Krishna at the time of death is extremely important. Then the life becomes valuable, the life that we've lived. So this is how Srila Prabhupada ended. It is important to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. So this is some of the things that I put down. And of course, he ended the important life is successful. We are called, this situation is called, usually in ISKCON, a final exam. When in our deathbed, would we remember Krishna? And so we should be trained to do that. And of course, through chanting and through help of devotees who come around us, who will come around us at the time of death to remind us about Krishna. Therefore, we have to relate well to devotees so that they can take time off what they're doing to come help us to transition back to Godhead by remembering Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, so those are some of the points. And through all of the trouble with my computer, I was able to Right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, down there, I see you raise your hand. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, please go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to the devotees in the call, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Some things that I noted or struck me were the last point that Prabhupada makes, that our concern is not for the body, it's just like a dress, it's nothing more than that, and we have to focus on the soul, uh, focus on it more and more, and the the point where he mentioned that story on the boatman and that businessman or the scholar. So at that point, I was like, I also thought that just learning or getting information or even having the theoretical knowledge doesn't help. Like if you don't know the practical applications, so it's not going to help. Like today's world, we have a lot of information everywhere, but if you don't know how to apply that information, then or how to use that information in the right manner, it's not going to be useful. Now we have this Krishna consciousness information. The it's best to put it in a practical application part now. So that were some points that I noted or struck me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your comments and what you noted. It's just Srila Prabhupada, for all whatever he stressed, he came down to the point that believe the material world, we have to learn to remember the Lord, the Supreme Lord, at the time of death. That is how we get out of the material world. It's very, very, very critical. Everything we do boils down to that situation, to remember Krishna at the time of death. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so thank you, dear devotees, for coming on to hear Srila Prabhupada's always giving us sound advice and reminding us that we're not home. This is not home, the material world. Whatever we learn here, it's temporary. Death will come and take it all away. So we have to make our death a very, very, very useful death for us from the spiritual standpoint, preparing, then making it possible for us to go home. It should be a transition to go home. Thank you again. Have a nice, wonderful day and week coming up, the rest of the week. Vanchakalpataru Bhishya Kripa Sundibhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.